Hey, everybody. Welcome to Monday night. Welcome to the live stream where we are trying to make your Monday nights great. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining us. This is about you. I think you're going to like our guest tonight, Jason Bent from Bent's Woodworking and More. He's going to be here. He's got over 163,000 subscribers, been very successful on YouTube, loves sharing his knowledge on many different topics. We're going to have some fun. Uh, but if you are here watching on replay, fast forward for about 10 minutes and then I'll bring him on. Otherwise, if you're here live, enjoy the countdown.
Just buying that software isn't what makes the difference. You've got to learn to use that tool, just like you've got to learn to use your high-end Powermatic woodworking tools or Festool for Sedge out there.
So I think you got to kind of leverage all of it.
And I just realized this is a new camera. I didn't take off the protective plastic over it, so I don't know if that was blurry or not for you. Oops.
Oh, hey, look at that.
In your little intro, which was very well put together, as I was sitting backstage and you had all these little clips from your previous guests, there was lots of good information in there, but somebody mentioned, just finding that thing that you love and do the thing you love. Don't make things that you don't like making.
In terms of growing a business, especially a business where you make things, is make the things you want to sell. I want to say Brad Rodriguez said this many times a while back, where it's like, if you don't want to sell cutting boards, stop making cutting boards. If you want to sell tables, make some tables and sell them at a loss if you have to, just to get some tables out there you sold. You attract clients that you can show you've actually made a thing. If you're trying to sell couches, don't keep making coasters telling people you can make couches. Make some couches.
A lot of times, usually when people start out on YouTube or when they're building a YouTube channel, they'll feel like their energies, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, they'll feel like they're at like an 8 or a 9, and they'll be like, whoa! But then when they actually watch themselves on camera, it's actually more like a 2 or 3.
We do take sponsors, especially as a lot of the smaller channels. And there's two ways that they talk about sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone paying you to do something, and the other one is getting free tools and stuff.
Launch day is my favorite day. That is my favorite day of the week. I just absolutely love launching videos and getting the feedback. So yeah, most videos take 4 to 5 full days to make, and I would like to streamline that. I would like to put out more videos in a week.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough, but I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for stage.
One thing I'm good at probably more than anything else is business and understanding the way businesses work and how to run a business. And I always come at from very much the Moneyball approach. I don't want to hit home runs. I just want to get on base and get on base and get on base.
And I think it's easy for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story and think that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
I like the premise of doing a tool review, comparing two tools, and especially if they are popular tools.
You can make the life you want to, you can make the business you want to, whatever it is you want to make.
It wasn't like YouTube's good and this and that. Like I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that was sustainable long term, and so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at, and it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for, potentially the rest of my life.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think all of my content needs to go where I am.
It's a lot of risk and fear, but moving through those deliberately.
There's a system to it, and you follow that system.
So what have you learned and done to try to change? And so that's the thing I always do is it's a continuous process of evolution.
Scheduling and trying to edit and get a video out, like it's really hard to follow exactly. If you do that and do it consistently, it'll generate views.
Interesting, a lot of times you might see channels or businesses that are frustrated because they're not growing, and you look and you realize that for years or dozens of iterations, you look at the most recent and you go back a few years or a few dozen iterations and there's zero change.
I'd like to see channels evolve into more of like a channel, like we're traditional like TV channel, where you have a channel, but there's different shows within that channel. And you could have the segment for your shorts or your live streams and your longs, all these different things, and people can kind of just pick and choose what they want to watch.
And my goal isn't to get the most views on YouTube. My goal is to provide confidence, inspiration, and knowledge through entertaining and engaging content. So
what's the next step? What is the next thing? What's going to get you to that next place?
You got to get them to click. You got to get them to watch. I'm terrible at thumbnails. I hate doing them. I would stress so bad over doing them. I've actually hired somebody else to do them now. That's why they look different. I'm not doing them anymore. I took that out of my hands, and I'm stress-free on that part.
Another thing is also onboarding people that are better than me at something. So I have an editor I've been working with for about 2 years now.
One day it just kind of hit me that, okay, I watch a lot of these videos and I obviously find value in them. Why can I not be the person on the other side of the camera, right? Providing the content and the information.
With me being a business-minded individual and trying to make sure that I'm providing for my family, but also always growing.
Our audience smells authenticity, and whether or not you're enjoying what you do very easy.
I'll always be that individual that loves YouTube, that always wants to do extremely detailed videos on how to build.
I feel like the biggest challenge is probably getting yelled at to put on protective.
I'm still focused on my woodworking. I'm focused on trying to get better. I just want to try new things and break barriers and just be the best woodworker I can be, and then document that. I just don't really have the time or desire to really become a student of YouTube. So I'm always playing catch up. I'm always just doing the best I can to get the most out of what we're doing, but I am no student of YouTube, that's for sure.
A good plan of attack is to create a channel on YouTube or an account on YouTube that you don't have any ties to. You've never watched anything on there, and just start watching content you're interested in on that channel. Don't watch the news, or don't click off and start watching, the latest episode or whatever. Just use that account strictly for that, and that'll kind of start drumming up what's being surfaced to people. And then from there, you can kind of...
as far as equipment goes, and I say this adamantly all the time, there is nothing I've ever made that I couldn't make by hand. And I have a skill set that I've developed that I could make it by hand. Does having a CNC make it faster? You bet it does.
The big change that I've seen is that people have gotten even shorter attention spans than normal. So if you are going to start a YouTube channel and you're going to start recording yourself working, keep the pace really, really fast. People get bored super quick, and when they get bored, they either start tapping those arrow keys to speed through the video, or else they'll just drag the slider across the screen so that they can speed through and skip to the end and see what you've built. But if you want to engage them throughout the whole video, you've got to keep the pace really, really fast.
Basically structure your channel so that you generate more views. They watch one video, they're going to watch the next, the next, the next. If you look, and you can tell the difference I can see it in my analytics. I can see it in the way my channel's structured.
The first thing that I would recommend to anybody, and this of course applies to any niche that you're looking to start a channel for, is before you even take the first steps in terms of researching and all that, which we'll talk about in a second, I would have a really honest conversation with yourself about what you're looking to get out of the channel and what your expectations are.
As a rule of thumb, post-production takes 6 times recorded footage length. not shoot time, but recorded footage length. So if you record a 5-minute clip, it's going to take you a minimum of 30 minutes to edit that 5-minute clip, even if you only edit down into 30 seconds, because you have to watch it, then you make some notes, and then you watch it again, you make some cuts, and you watch it again, and then when it fits into the timeline, by a rule, you're going to see that same clip roughly 6 times.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you're here. I just want to remind you that I believe the chat is where it's at. We're here on Monday nights. We're here to make it great. Let's make Monday night great by talking with each other in the chat. If you have a question for my guest or myself, then please put a Q at the beginning of your chat comment, and we'll try to get those identified and see if we can get you some answers. If you are celebrating a milestone, whether that be on YouTube or in life, you had a birth of a child, your YouTube channel is going really well, you got out on parole, whatever the case, we want to celebrate with you because we're happy for you. Let's bring on our guest. Our guest is Jason Bent from Bent's Woodworking and More. And Jason has built a fantastic channel with projects, tool reviews, home improvement ideas, how to improve your shop. He's got a lot of variety. I really appreciate him coming on tonight. Please welcome Jason Bent. Jason, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We really appreciate you coming on. I hope that you'll have a good time. And folks, get your questions in early tonight. We will try to get them answered. We are going to try to stay around the 1 hour, maybe an hour and 5-minute timeline, because Jason has a little one he needs to take after, and we want to encourage him to do that. So, Jason, first of all, you have a little one, but you said you had another newborn, right?
Yes. So I have Leo, who will be 4 next month, and then we just had Max about 8 weeks ago, almost 8 weeks ago.
Well, congratulations. We want to celebrate that milestone with you. That's fantastic.
So, it's crazy. I'm still trying to adjust to now having 2 boys in the house, but it's great.
Yeah. Speaking of milestones, you're quickly approaching 150,000 on YouTube subscribers. Is that correct?
I'm over 150,000.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think 160 something. Right, I
meant 100. You're on your way to 200,000. I had a brain.
One of these days, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, you're well on the way. You've been doing this YouTube thing for what, 4 years or so?
Yeah, it's actually coming up on, I want to say 5 now, because I posted my first video. I want to say it was like December 30th of 2017, or it was like the last couple days of 2017. Yeah. So this year I think it'll be 5. But it's been a long road. I definitely am not, my channel hasn't grown nearly as fast as a lot of other people, but there's only so much that I can do just based off my job. So I've kind of always, YouTube is always kind of like a secondary thing, but that's all about to change, going into next year. So.
Oh, wow. Big plans for next year.
Yeah. Big plans.
So 4.5, 5 years ago, whenever you first got the idea in your head, I'm gonna go on YouTube, did you think you'd be over 160,000 subscribers within 4 years?
Oh, no, I didn't know anything about it when I started. It was really just, I was sitting in my shop one day and I'm like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos when I got started. Why not do the same thing, right? Yeah, I've relied. I'm a visual learner. I like watching videos. And that's what helped me in the beginning. So I'm like, you know what, let me try. I'm going to tell people how I got into woodworking. And I grabbed my phone and I, you know, tossed it up on the miter saw station and just awkwardly talked to the camera for like 30 minutes, you know. And when I was done with that, I was like, man, I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to start doing that more. And then it just kind of turned into, you know, looking around my shop. What could I do a video on now? What could I do a video on now? And honestly, all that stemmed from my joy of teaching. That was never something that I thought I would be doing. But I was a drill sergeant. Somebody I can see just commented on that. I was a drill sergeant at Fort Benning from 2012 to 2015. And that's kind of where I realized how much I enjoyed teaching. And that's really what gave me the basis to the way that I teach in my videos now, to be honest with you. There's a lot of different techniques that I use in my videos and my instructional method that were 100% from that. And then I went to go be an ROTC instructor a few years after that, and really enjoyed that. You know, I got to teach college students on military stuff, and that's kind of just sealed the deal. That's when I started YouTube, is while I was in that job.
Yeah, and what college was that at?
University of North Georgia.
Okay. And are you living in Georgia now?
No, I'm in Indiana now.
Indiana. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a great background, you know. So you enjoyed teaching, so it just made sense. You enjoyed other people's YouTube videos and got that idea. Did you have experience with filming and editing and so forth before you started?
Nope. Not even a little bit. If you watch the first, I don't know, probably 5 to 10 videos that I did, you can see this massive shift in how my video quality changed. You know, like the first one I used my cell phone, and then the next one I used like some old crappy camera that I had, and it was awful. And then I switched to something else, and then I used my phone, and it was just back and forth. And everything really, to be honest with you, is just trial and error.
Yeah. So how long were you in the service?
I'm still in.
Okay.
I'm coming up. I'll hit 20 years in April, and I'll actually be retiring from the Army in April.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for your service. I appreciate your service to our country. I do. Okay, let's see. Got a couple of questions and milestones already lined up. Let's dive into those for a minute. Biscuit Tree Woodwork says, just hit 4,000 hours watch time today. That is a huge milestone on YouTube.
Yep.
You know, you got to get there so you can get monetized, and that with your subscriber count. And you know, the sky is the limit from here on. You can start making a little bit of money, hopefully.
Yeah, and definitely. Can I give a recommendation on that?
Sure.
So as long as you have the other milestone being the 1,000 subscribers, 100% monetize immediately. If you haven't done it already, do it immediately. I wanted to share a interesting story about my monetization. So I would say it was probably 2018. Jay Bates, I had met Jay Bates for the first time. He came to my shop when I was in Georgia and did a shop tour video, and it's on his second channel. And when we got done, he looked at me. I had 30,000+ subscribers at the time, and I actually had what is now today my most viewed video, for now at least, that was just on fire at the time. And he looked at me and he said, I have to ask, why are you not monetized? And I told him that I didn't monetize my channel because I figured that people probably enjoyed coming to my channel and not having to worry about ads. And mind you, this was years ago. And Jay looked at me and he said, when's the last time you watched a YouTube video that didn't have ads? And I said, I can't even remember. You know, it's like every video I watch has ads, and it wasn't nearly as bad back then as it is now. And he goes, exactly, you need to monetize your channel today. And I did. I monetized my channel that night, and immediately, was making $1,000+ a month on ad revenue. And I was like, man, I cannot believe that I did not do it. So I lost out on a lot by dragging my feet. It's just a normal thing now with ad revenue and everything else. So you might as well definitely monetize.
Well, Biscuit Tree Woodwork says, I'm still short on subs, but should be there in a couple of days. All right, there you go.
Yep. As soon as you get it, monetize it.
So you were in the service for 20 years. You've got a 4-year-old. When did you start your family?
Well, I met my wife. My wife is German. I was stationed in Germany from 2007 to 2012. And I met her when I returned from Iraq in 2010, 9. I might be off on the dates. I think it was 2009. I met her, and we ended up getting married while I was on leave from Afghanistan, which was, the following year. And we came to the States, and we actually never had plans on having kids. And time went by, and years changed things, and my wife started to want to have children. We started having conversations about it, and we decided to have Leo almost 5 years ago now. And it's the best thing ever. And I can't believe that I used to be so stubborn and hard-headed. But what I will say about it is that I am extremely glad that I waited as long as I did to have children. And the reason for that is because in the past 20 years, I can't tell you how many people I've seen grow up or not get to see their kids grow up, because we've been in Iraq, we've been in Afghanistan, we've been in the field, we've been deployed. Kids are 10 years old and they've only been around them for 4 years. I don't have to worry about that. My son will never have to experience that. Neither one of my kids will ever have to experience that. And now that I'm retiring from the Army next year, I can do this as my regular day job and spend every afternoon and evening with my family, spend every weekend with my family. And so that's one thing that I'm very, very happy about.
No, that sounds like a great plan to me. Spend more time with those little ones, because those years slip by, and you won't notice if you're at work all the time. So,
well, that's one nice thing, is that I've already kind of been able to step away from what it is that a regular day job. I don't really have to go to work as much anymore, or really at all. I'm just doing things that focus on my retirement going into next year, because come February I'll be on terminal leave. So at that point I'm basically done, but I'm still technically in the Army until 1 May of next year. But I've already got to see what this life is going to be like. I get up in the morning, I take my son to school, I go to the gym, I come home, I work in the shop, or I work on the computer, or I'm filming, I'm doing whatever needs to get done, and then I go pick him up and I just focus on him the rest of the evening. The occasional thing like what we're doing right now, or we have a podcast that we do once a week, so there's a couple of things throughout the week that I have to go do, and it takes a little bit of time away, but it's really nice to see what all could be, from going through this schedule. Because I'll be honest with you, over the past 2 years, I'd be lucky if I'm getting 10 hours, in the shop in a week, and that's including the weekends. That's not a lot of time. Like that's as much time as I'm putting into, bench woodworking. And it's frustrating because I haven't been able to get the amount of content that I want to get. I did have to sacrifice a bunch of time with my kids. And so I can't even imagine what's going to be able to happen when I can dedicate 30 to 40 hours a week towards this and not sacrifice time with my family.
Yeah, that's going to be a blessing right there. You got your 20 years in, you have that retirement, and you have established yourself as an entrepreneur through the YouTube, and what other streams of income are you pursuing or have you pursued? I imagine you have sponsors and affiliate links and so forth. What are your streams of income?
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk about that. I know some people don't like. I'm kind of an open book when it comes to a lot of this stuff. YouTube ad revenue is just the tip of the iceberg, and I think a lot of people are confused on money that can be made from YouTube. Right, the new person that's coming in like, oh, I can get paid by YouTube for starting a channel. Like, this is amazing. Well, that's just where it starts, right? I think the two most common things that people do in the beginning is YouTube, monetizing on YouTube, and using Amazon for affiliate marketing. Amazon affiliate marketing is not nearly what it used to be, by about half, to be honest with you. So those two things kind of is what gets started. I actually did Amazon affiliate revenue first, then I monetized my YouTube channel. And between those two back then, I was probably making, $2,000 to $3,000 on average per month. And then one day Amazon decided to shut my account down because of some violation that I had done with the write-up in my videos. And I was lucky enough for them to turn it back on, but I basically lost 2 months that were my biggest earning months because of that. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I need to start taking this more serious and figuring out what other things I can monetize in order to not have everything be about these two streams of revenue, being Amazon and Google for YouTube. And that's where plans came in. That's where merchandise came in. That's where Patreon came in. That's where affiliate deals with companies, specifically with a company. That's where sponsorships came in. That's where, like, sponsorships through companies and sponsors for a video, a specific video. And there's this whole other idea that I'm going to start doing next year, a service that I want to start offering to people that I'm very excited about. That'll just be another stream of revenue. So now YouTube is just a part of the revenue that I generate. But with that being said, I will tell you that YouTube is my biggest focus. Instagram I have never used Instagram to, try to get money specifically for Instagram only. I'll make a small amount of money on Reels bonuses and stuff like that when I'm posting to it, which I don't really do as much anymore. I just mainly do stories. But I don't use that platform for that, right? YouTube is the thing that I use to bring companies on, to develop partnerships that I plan to earn ad revenue from. That is the sole focus, and that's kind of how I do everything. The key to monetization on any of these platforms is to figure out a way to create or take one project, one piece of content, and monetize it 6 different ways. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So in a perfect world, I'm going to build a dining room table, right? I'm going to build a dining room table and I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. So first things first, I need the materials for this. Reach out to companies. Maybe they provide some lumber. Maybe they provide a table base. Maybe they provide some of the materials that I'm using it. Maybe they want to be a sponsor for the video. But essentially, I'm not going to be paying for the materials to make that video. Then I'm going to make a YouTube video about it, an instructional video. And if they want to buy plans, they can buy plans. And then I can take that content and I can put it on other platforms, which could then generate revenue, right? So I'm not making additional content. I'm taking the existing content and putting that on other platforms to help make money. Linking tools that I used in that video in the video description. So if they see a tool they want, maybe they can go buy one of those, right? If they go to my website to buy the set of plans, maybe they see another set of plans that I have. So figuring out a way to make one thing work for you in multiple ways is kind of a perfect world. That's really what you want to do. That's what I've always tried to do, because I kind of started to get burned out a while back. And this is actually why I got out of doing client work for people. Is I was doing client work and I was building the same table for the 6th time. why am I going to post about that again on Instagram? I've got to get this project done to get it to the customer, but I also have to get content for YouTube. So I got to stop everything that I'm doing to create YouTube content. And it just started being where I had to find something else to do, and I couldn't use what I was doing as the primary source of content for that. So that really steered me away from doing client work and kind of doubling down and going all in. So I could start to figure out, like, what can I do that's going to make this easier for me and also be most beneficial in multiple ways.
Absolutely. I thought I'd put this up there. So take one table, whatever you're making, and turn it into 6+ revenue streams. And if you do it right, even get the materials to make it at no charge. So I think that is good advice. Speaking of advice, you've been doing this for about 4 years. What advice would you give somebody just starting out in YouTube in the woodworking, DIY, home improvement type niches?
I have a different perspective on this than some other people. I have some very good friends that look at this very analytically. I'm not an analytical person when it comes to YouTube. I'm not trying to cheat the system. I'm not trying to only make content that is going to appease the algorithm and, follow trends. And there's nothing wrong with that. The way I see it, there's two different types of people on YouTube. You have the people that are there to make it a extremely reliable and strong revenue generating machine, right? That's totally fine. It's completely understandable. Then there's the people that just enjoy doing it and just want to put videos out there because it's either easiest for them, it's what their audience has asked for, or they just want to share that knowledge and be used to it. I would say I'm on the latter. Eventually, at some point, would I like to create a revenue generating machine? Yeah, of course I would. But this was never about money for me because I'm in the military, right? So I have a day job. When I retire, I will continue to earn money from the military for the rest of my life. So I don't need that big chunk to catch up. So you need to determine which one of those two things you want to do, right? Do you want it to be something that just generates you money, right? Like you are doing this because of the opportunities, monetarily speaking, or are you doing it because you enjoy doing it and you want to have fun? And then once you do that, try making a bunch of different videos in different styles and find out which one works best for you, right? If you're doing this to have fun and because you want to earn some money and you want it to be a good time, because it could always evolve into something way, way more. I mean, I've seen it happen hundreds and hundreds of times with people. But you have to enjoy doing it, and not everything is going to work. And I always get this comment from people who say, I want to start a YouTube channel, but it's too late. It's too crowded. It's very crowded, right? It is very crowded. There's a ton of people doing woodworking content. There's tons of people that have done videos that I've done. I've done lots of videos that other people have done. But what I will always tell people is that it does not matter how crowded it is. Everybody has an audience, right? There is an audience for everybody. Somebody might come to my channel because of the way that I teach and they like the way that I teach. Other people may not come to my channel because they don't like how in-depth I go and that I do talk a lot and I probably over-explain certain things. But that's the style that I like to do, and it does help people. That's what works for me, which is why I do that, right? And it took me quite a few videos to figure that out. And a funny story about that is the very first video that I had that did well, it was showing how to make shaker style doors using just a table saw. And I started that video off. You can go back and watch it. It's one of my better videos still. But if you go back to my older videos and see that, I'm like standing with a door panel and like half of my head is popping up over it, a weird thumbnail. And I did that, and I started that video off, and I said verbatim, this is my first attempt at showing you how to do something, so it's probably going to suck, but we're going to do it anyway. And that video changed my channel. And that is what started me on an upward trajectory. And when I saw that, that's when I knew the primary type of video that I want to create is a step-by-step instructional video. But it took me a lot of videos to figure that out.
You know, I think I discovered your channel right at the beginning of the pandemic. Did you see a big boost of subscribers and views during the pandemic years?
Absolutely.
I shouldn't say years, months.
No, I actually had the complete opposite.
Okay.
My channel struggled a lot, but I think there's a bigger reason for that. And that was because I ended up moving right when the pandemic started, like right when it was a big deal in the United States. It was right after Workbench Con in 2020, I guess now. I closed on a house in March of 2020. And the day that I closed on my house is the day that they started talking about lockdowns, and the Army stopped everybody from moving right after I closed on a house in another state. So it was a very stressful time for me. And then I was setting up a new shop, and that was a long, drawn out process. And I documented a lot of the shop stuff, which did great. But then I kind of got lost for a good amount of time. And I didn't really have a purpose. I kind of got away from doing the instructional videos. I was just doing whatever videos were the easiest at the time, just because I felt like I had to get something out. And my channel suffered. I mean, I've always been fairly consistent. It's pretty rare that I have these videos that are like these huge spikes and I just bring in all these new subscribers. But my channel was really tough. It wasn't until last year, actually, that my channel like actually started to go back up on an uptick. I had a couple of videos that did well, and it's gone from there. But my channel's definitely been more of a slow, steady growth type of channel.
You know, that's I've heard both ways. I've heard some people say the pandemic really gave them a boost. I've heard others say no, it struggled. But it sounds like you had a lot more circumstance than just the pandemic going on with a move and everything. I do want to let our viewers know that this live stream is brought to you by the letter W for woodworking. But if you did enjoy this so far, and please give me that big thumbs up, hit that like button, press that like button. Thank you. Let's get back, and we had another question or two. Alien Leader says, Army Drill Sergeant, thanks for your service. Okay.
I was a drill sergeant in Charlie Company 150 at Fort Benning, Georgia, from 2012 to 2015. Best job I ever had.
Really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Indiana now because I guess we can talk about that here in just a minute. But my intention was to actually go back to Fort Benning for my last assignment. And I had actually considered going back and being a drill sergeant again because I liked it so much, and I figured that'd be a good way to go out. Thankfully, I did not do that because I'd probably be hating myself right now. And I wouldn't have been able to grow, my channel or my business at all by doing that. But yes, it was 100% the most rewarding job I've ever had in my entire life, and I will never forget it.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for that question or that comment. And again, we appreciate your service. Alien Leader's asking, are you in North or South Indiana?
I am in Avon, Indiana. I'm just west of Indianapolis. So like dead center, Indiana.
Right in the middle.
Yep.
Biscuit Tree Woodwork says, have you brought on any employees? Have you hired an editor, thumbnails, plans? Have you added any staff?
No, I have not. Editor, thumbnails, no. I did have somebody a while back that was making plans for me, and I've actually been looking for somebody to make plans for me for quite some time, and it just never works out. I don't know why. And that's one thing that I really, really want to bring on is somebody to make plans. And I really do want to bring on an editor. I think the reason why I've been so hesitant on the editor, I I'd like to have somebody come film me, to be honest with you. I'd like to have a videographer that comes here like, hey, Mondays and Wednesdays, we're out in the shop building stuff and you come film it and then edit it. I would absolutely love to do that because I don't like the editing process. I used to like it. I don't like it anymore. If I'm doing an instructional video, I don't mind it because those are very easy for me to do because I remember what I said. I know when I said it and I know exactly what I want to show. If it has to do with a build video, that's why you don't see a lot of build videos from me. I hate editing them. So I would love to have an editor so I could actually document those things and let them worry about it. Thumbnails is definitely something that I've considered bringing somebody on to start making thumbnails for me because I'm awful at it. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I drive myself crazy trying to come up with a clever thumbnail, and lately I've just been putting pictures on there, right? It works for Cam from Blacktail Studio. He doesn't put any crazy stuff on his pictures. So, I know that there's things that I could be doing if I wanted to maximize growth and maximize revenue and all of these things. But again, it's like, I'm happy doing things the way that I'm doing them now. And I know it's going to get better and I know it's going to grow and I know I'm going to earn more when I have more time to do this stuff. But with the limited amount of time that I have, I don't have time to worry about those things.
Yeah, we had Cam on here one night and he does a lot of A/B testing with his thumbnails, so they look like it's just random shots, but he's very selective about what he shows to create that interest.
Right.
Do you do any A/B testing?
So I have John in here from Lincoln Street Woodworks. He gave the best class I've ever seen at Workbench Con. It was just very insightful. It was really good. I actually went and watched it both days. And he had talked about A/B testing, and he also talked about Cam A/B testing. Well, I actually did subscribe to that service. I think it's TubeBuddy or whatever it is that allows you to do the A/B testing. And I have tried it out on about 5 videos. And it's very interesting to see the difference between, like, there was always one very, very clear winner for sure. So it was helpful. I've kind of gotten away from it, mainly because sometimes I just don't remember that I even have that stuff. And I'm like usually at the last minute trying to get my video out. If it gets off to a good start, I'll usually leave it. But if it's struggling, then yeah, I'll absolutely start doing some A/B testing. That is actually something that I've started doing more now that I never bothered with in the past. And that is, experimenting a little bit. Because if it's as simple as me changing the thumbnail or shifting the title just a little bit to get a little bit more interest, then why not do that? Sometimes it's kind of disheartening when you spend a ton of time putting effort into a video and it doesn't get seen. That sometimes is irritating. A lot of videos that I post it, I know it's not going to get a lot of views. My last video, I was talking about Famag Forstner bits. That's a very specific video. Like, unless, I could give it some crazy title that means it has nothing to do with what it is, and maybe a bunch of people to click on it, and it's not a highly searched topic, right? And I know that going into it, but I still made the video. Now when I start getting some of these other topics where Bloom undermount drawer slides, I put my heart and soul into that video because there's not a lot of good content on YouTube about it. A lot of people are very intimidated and confused by it. When I released that video, it did awful. It's done much better now. It actually is. It does really, really well, and the feedback has been phenomenal. But when I first released that video, I was so disheartened because I'm like, this is my style of video. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. It can't get much better than this from an instructional standpoint in my eyes on these drawer slides. And then it just didn't get served to anybody. And then luckily over time, it started picking up, which is kind of rare, but that does bother me a little bit when that happens, because it's just like, man, this is such a good video. Like, I know a lot of people would benefit from this, and YouTube doesn't show it to anybody. So, yeah. But again, that's why it'd be great to have somebody on board that can do all that stuff for me, and they figure all that stuff out. Like, yeah, we'll get more views on it.
Yeah, I actually think YouTube it should be a free service with YouTube to upload 2 or 3 thumbnails, and they should serve them up because they could do a better job than TubeBuddy because they control it, right? And they could get a true randomized spread of the thumbnails presented to people that generally enjoy different types or different niches of videos,
Right.
and see which one really lights up with different groups. Workbench Con was great, and I enjoyed John's stuff. John had been on here, and so I had heard a lot of his information, but he's very talented and knows that kind of marketing approach to things.
Yes.
So that was great. Are you going to Workbench Con this year?
Yep. I've been every year except the first. And I spoke there the second or third Workbench Con. I think it was the third Workbench Con. I applied to be a speaker again this year. My class was not accepted for the actual conference, but I will be doing a class prior to the conference, which is something new that they're doing this year, I guess. My class wasn't super focused on social media. So I think that's kind of why it looks like they're really, really leaning heavy on getting back to pretty much just social media based, business based, growing your audience, working with brands, that kind of stuff. But it's kind of nice because I'll get to do my class and then not have to worry about doing a class at the show. So that just brings on a whole nother level of stress. So worked out pretty good, but I will 100% be there. I would not miss it. I just have such a good time at that event.
I had a blast, and I look forward to going this year. And I know several of our viewers do. So you know what Matt's talking about here? Matt from 731.
Yeah, he's talking about your that right there. The Sustainer Bluetooth speaker. It sounds amazing. It's awesome. And the battery lasts a really long time, which is good too. But yeah, it's a great speaker.
Yeah, I knew you would know. That's
funny.
We all know Matt likes us Festools. So
yeah.
Okay, so we did have a question about thumbnails. If I can find it again, I forgot to start. Yeah. Any tips for making a thumbnail? Also, what's more important, title or thumbnail?
In my opinion, the thumbnail's more important, and this is why. When you're scrolling through a video, the first thing you're going to look and your eyes are going to be drawn to is the picture. If the picture looks interesting, you're either going to click it or you're going to look to see what the title is. So for me personally, I just think that the picture itself is the thing that hooks you to look into it more. So I think that the thumbnail is more important than the title. With that being said, a really amazing thumbnail with a really crappy title may not be as effective as having good both. My tips for thumbnails: find people who make thumbnails that you like and try to model those. YouTube and social media is a platform of copying. I mean, that's all it is. You'll see somebody's video that does great. I've had my videos copied, right? And that's fine. I don't care. I've had my thumbnails copied. And it worked. Try it for you. That doesn't mean somebody's going to, watch your entire video. They may not like the way you pitch things or explain things. That's fine. But don't be afraid to take somebody else, their video ideas or that kind of stuff as inspiration, right? No one's reinventing the wheel. Like no one's being super, especially in woodworking, right? Like if you're making a woodworking channel or a DIY channel, like unless you start building something that's just completely crazy that no one's ever made, which is probably not going to happen, it's just a platform of copying. Find your inspiration and roll with it. Don't spend a ton of money on software to make your thumbnails in the beginning. Go on a platform like Canva. Canva is free. You can pay for it and get some extra stuff. And just look around. I mean, they have so many templates. They have so many options to choose from, and just play with it. You know what I mean? Just come up with something that you think looks good, right? That you like. Now, just because you like the thumbnail doesn't mean everybody else is going to like the thumbnail. So that's actually something that I need to get away from myself, is my own personal thoughts about the picture, the thumbnail, and because I'm not making it for me, I'm making it for other people. And if you can separate that, I think you'll be a little bit more successful as well.
Yeah, and I would recommend if you're going to make your own thumbnails and everything, you got to remember that a lot of people are looking at thumbnails on their phone. So it's a much smaller scope than whenever you're looking at Canva on your screen. But I like to upload my thumbnails, and I'm not great at making thumbnails, I know, but I like to upload them to a website called thumbsup.tv, and it will show you how it would look on your phone, how it looks on different devices and from different views. So if it's suggested, it looks different. You get to type in how you want your title to look. So that's thumbsup.tv for those interested.
Interesting.
You might want to give it a try. It really helps point some things out. Like, if your title is more than a certain number of characters, it cuts it off. Where it cuts it off is very pivotal sometimes. You might be missing the power word in what's being displayed to viewers.
Right.
Just something to think about. What about we were talking about revenue streams, which I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. What about sponsors? What are your thoughts, and what kind of opportunities are good? What kind of things should you avoid when you're talking to sponsors? What's your opinion?
So I like talking about all this kind of stuff, right? I love talking about the sponsorship side, the affiliate marketing side, all the different streams of revenue. I enjoy talking about it because I think there's not enough people that do talk about it, right? And I've experimented with a lot of different things. I'll be the first to tell you, out of probably the majority of the channels that are my size, I get paid way less money than I could be making compared to a lot of those other channels. And the reason for that is personal. It's because I am very, very, very selective about who I work with for sponsors. When you start getting into this field, you're going to start getting emails every single day, messages on Instagram, emails on YouTube, all of these companies that want to pay you, they want to give you free stuff, they want to promote your stuff, or they want you to promote their stuff. It can be very difficult to say no for some people. For me, it's not difficult at all. And because of that, I haven't done a lot of sponsored videos on YouTube. I would say if I went back, I have 150 something videos on YouTube. Less than 10 of those are sponsored. And matter of fact, the funny thing is that in the past year, I've probably had 4 or 5. So things are starting to change a little bit. I think sponsored content will be a little bit bigger a part of my business after I get out of the Army. But that's just because I'm growing and I understand more about it now. Everything is different. You can get sponsors for YouTube videos or Instagram posts or whatever, right? You can get sponsors that will pay you monthly and you have a long-term agreement with them. Pros and cons to that. Affiliate marketing can be really, really good with companies. And that's a whole different thing, right? They're not paying you money unless you are promoting their products and selling them and they're using your link. There are certain companies that works great. And that it's actually preferred versus other avenues in terms of making money from that company. My opinion is never rely on that. I would rely more on affiliate marketing than I ever would for sponsored content for videos or a long-term sponsor with some companies. And I'll tell you, because I have a company that I was in a sponsorship with last year, and I earned almost half of my yearly income for the entire year of Ben's Woodworking from that one company. And they dropped me like that going into this year. That's a huge, huge, huge change. So you have to be very, very aware of that, is that sponsors are fair weather friends, right? They are very fair weather friends. It is a business. If they are seeing returns and gains, if it's working, you're awesome. If it's not working, they want to go another way, they will just kick you to the curb because it is not working with their business model. So you have to be aware of that. So that's why I'm very, very hesitant on that. Sponsored YouTube videos, on the other hand, is a different thing, right? We want to sponsor a YouTube video. Great. It's going to be X amount of dollars. Awesome. Let's do it. But then you have to play the back and forth of, we want to check out the video in most cases, right? They have to approve the video. You're waiting on somebody else to do all that stuff. Sponsors for videos is not just as easy as, I need a sponsor for today's video. Hey, do you want to sponsor this video? Sure. Okay, I'm going to make it. Now I'm going to release the video. We're good. Pay me. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of fine print. There's a lot of stuff that I just really don't enjoy dealing with, to be quite frank with you. And affiliate marketing, the thing that's so great about affiliate marketing is it is completely based off of your effort that you put into it. And it's almost no loss to the company, because if you do better, they make more money. So they're going to be happy to pay you for your part. Affiliate marketing doesn't work with everyone though, right? Like I tend to, not go after affiliate marketing deals that are for very small ticket items. Why? Because it doesn't earn a lot of revenue. And to try to promote a small ticket item all of the time just to earn that a little small amount of revenue really starts to cloud your channel. And I'm sure that people are watching this can probably attest to that. They've seen it on Instagram, they've seen it on YouTube, they've seen it on all these different platforms. It's almost off-putting, right? So again, a lot of this is my own personal opinions, but this is just what I've seen. So I don't have one that I just do and only do that. If an opportunity comes around for a sponsor of a YouTube video that I am comfortable doing, I'll do it. I am trying to align myself with a couple of select companies going into next year when I retire from the Army. So then I can just focus on those companies that I like to support and that have supported me and see how that goes. And then solidifying affiliate deals again, because it's just multiple streams of revenue, right? The more different streams you can get, the better, and it'll add up real quick.
Yeah, it's a business decision for sponsors, whether or not they're going to help support you. And I think it should be a business decision from you, whether you're going to accept that sponsorship. I think that's it's nice to be personable, but in the end, it has to be a business decision, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the audience sees it, right? Yeah. And again, this goes back to, there are people out there that every video, they will not release a video unless it's sponsored. And, they might do 4 videos a month and they might have 4 sponsors. They may earn, $10,000, $20, $30, $40, $50. I don't know. There's some of these massive accounts that are probably earning, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, of course. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a business and they're treating it as such. It just depends on what it is that you want to do. People can usually see right through that, right? This person's just taking every ad that comes their way. But at the end of the day, though, I've had this conversation. I think people's opinions and thoughts on sponsorship change as they go through this process, right? There was a point in time where I used to get angry. Before I got into all the social media stuff, I just had an Instagram page. I'd see all these people posting free tools and all that. I'm like, how are these people getting free tools? It angered me at first. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now I kind of get it. And then I was starting to get offered free tools because I had a certain number of followers. And then it's like, oh, this is cool. And then you get to a point where, you don't need the free tool. You don't want the free tool. You're looking to get money because you understand that you are valuable, right? The company is always going to win over you. All they're trying to do, one day I had this realization in my head. All a sponsor is trying to do is paying for space on your channel for their commercial. It's no different from the Super Bowl, where people are paying top dollar to get their, Pepsi pays millions of dollars to have their, ad run during the Super Bowl. Why? Because lots of eyes are on it. It's the exact same way now with YouTube and social media. They are going to pay top dollar to get the most eyes on their product. And then that's another, revelation that I had. I used to say, well, if I ever did do a sponsored video, I would absolutely only keep it to woodworking content. woodworking stuff. It would have to be a woodworking company for me to accept the sponsorship. I'll be honest with you. I would much rather have a company that has nothing to do with woodworking be a sponsor of my video than any company that has to do with woodworking. And the reason for that is because if you are Woodcraft and you want to sponsor my video and it has to do with woodworking and a specific woodworking product, you are going to want to have your say in that video, in that product, how I'm using it, everything else. As opposed to if Squarespace, right, that seems to be a real popular one on YouTube now. If Squarespace wants to sponsor my video where I'm building a dining room table, they don't care about the dining room table. They just want to make sure that I read for that 60 seconds the information about Squarespace. So the approval process is much easier, much simpler. And when people get all bent out of shape and they say, well, he's just selling out. Think about it like this. Whatever your favorite TV show is, let's say your favorite TV show is Game of Thrones. And let's say that Game of Thrones had commercials. Is every commercial that's run during Game of Thrones about Game of Thrones? No, none of them are. They're all about different random things. It's the exact same thing with YouTube. And I think if people look at YouTube like that, they will have that realization and they'll probably be a little bit more accepting of the people who are actually trying to make a living, creating these videos. It doesn't have to necessarily be related. And so it's just funny how I went from the one extreme down here to the complete opposite extreme where I am now, just because I've seen more, I've experienced more. I have a lot of friends that are doing this. It's just your mindset towards all this stuff changes pretty drastically.
Everybody watching, who should I get as a sponsor? A razor company or a beard product company?
Either.
Who do you think would be a better sponsor?
Both.
So we've talked about. Okay, let's celebrate a milestone. My son and fellow woodworker got married this weekend. Congrats to Alex and
Congrats.
Alex, Allie, Rick. Congrats to the whole family. That is a great milestone. Thanks
awesome.
For sharing that. Yep. We've talked a lot about YouTube and we've talked about sponsors and income streams, but let's take a few minutes out of our hour together and talk about woodworking and DIY projects. How long have you been interested in those types of projects, and how did you get your start in developing those skill sets?
I did not do any woodworking until February of 2016. That is when I started. And the reason I started is because when we were moving to go up to the University of North Georgia, where I was an ROTC instructor, my wife said, hey, when we move, I want you to build a table. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have any tools. And she's like, well, figure out what you need and we'll go get that stuff. So she found a video on a table from DIY Pete, a farmhouse table using construction grade lumber that she liked. The video told me what tools I needed. I went and bought the tools and I built the table and I was just hooked. And so that's same story as most people, right? I was just hooked. I couldn't stop building things. I built that and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like I made that, let's do something else. And it was just, we spent all of our time on Pinterest and everything else looking for the next project that we wanted to do and find some cool plans that were free and, build that project. And that kind of led to doing client work. When somebody was like, hey, where did you buy that table? And I was like, oh, I made it. And they're like, wait, what? And then they wanted to buy it. And so we sold that table and that just kind of everything snowballed from there. And I just kept trying to take whatever jobs that I could to challenge myself. It was very rare that I would say no to a project. I would just take the job. And if I screwed it up, I'd just eat the money and, continue learning how to do it. And I just got to a point where, my name was out there in my local area and I had a lot of word of mouth and started doing really well with client work. And then I got into the whole social media thing and I kind of just said, you know what, I'm just going to go all in on the social media stuff. So now the only projects that I really do, to be honest with you, is either for an instructional video or stuff for our own house. And in this new house that we just moved to, There's going to be a lot more home projects for this new place for sure.
Sounds like opportunities to work in 6 or 7 income streams off of each project.
Oh yeah. Well, so I really like doing cabinetry related stuff. Typically it always does well on YouTube just because it's a highly searched topic and people want to know. So I really enjoy building cabinets, and I really enjoy going through that process, and I really enjoy making those videos. So there's going to be a lot of that style stuff here. Flooring, built-ins, kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, that kind of stuff. And it's not that I want to, present myself as an expert on any of those things, because I'm not. I just want to share the things that I learned in the way that I know how to explain things, and if one person finds any video that I've done helpful, I've succeeded. Like that's the only thing I care about. It's great. I like getting those comments that people, I was nervous about doing this, but watching your video made me confident and I'm going to go do it. Like, I like that. That's why I started doing this. That is why I propped my phone up that day, because I wanted to help somebody else out the way that it helped me. And if I can share something with somebody that they're going to get something out of, even if I'm not an expert in it, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I love the service attitude, that you're providing a service to others, and that your videos can bring value to others. And you would like your videos to be seen by lots of people.
Of course.
But sometimes you make a video and it is very niche audience that is going to get something out of it. I got a small woodworking channel, Married Man Woodworking, shameless plug. Okay. So, but my most successful full-length video is assembly of the rigid miter saw stand, mobile miter saw stand. And I always get comments on there, about appreciate it. The instructions weren't clear, so I feel like I've provided a service to those folks. Most of them don't subscribe. They'll probably never see my channel again, and that's okay. It's out there. It's performing a service for others. So I appreciate that. Yeah. What's your favorite wood to work with?
Walnut. Yeah. For a long time there, I was kind of like known as the walnut guy. Like everything I was making was out of walnut, and I was making shop furniture out of walnut and all kinds of other stuff. My wife really likes white oak. It's kind of the trend right now. So I'm doing a lot more with white oak. I really love the look of white oak, but I hate working with it. Walnut is definitely my favorite to work with. I also like working with cherry, even though I don't use it very often. But they're so easy to work with. Both materials are really easy to work with.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to treat the wood? Is it Rubio coat or?
Yeah. I'm one of those guys that kind of got on the Rubio train. I'm not one of those people that's like, test out all these different finishes and there's a certain style I like. I'm all about ease. My least favorite thing to do in woodworking is finishing. Like I hate it. So anything that makes that easier, I'm all for it. So I absolutely love using Rubio. I've had really good success with the product. I only use a couple of woods really, so I know what it looks like on each style. So every once in a while I'll dabble with something else, but unless it's just for something very specific that I need more protection, I'm gonna grab Rubio 9 times out of 10.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I've seen so many videos on it.
It's great.
I've been an Odie's oil guy, so
I've never tried that.
Yeah, I like it. It's expensive, but it goes a long way. Just a little bit goes a long way. But I'm the type of guy. I like Danish oil too. So, I like that natural feel of the wood.
Yeah.
But some of my projects have thick, polyurethane on them. So
Yeah.
I cover.
And there's
it
a
with
place for that.
plastic.
You know, there's definitely a place for it. There's an application for all different types of finishes. But for any furniture that's going in my home, it's going to have Rubio. Like when I redo my kitchen, I'm obviously not going to do my kitchen cabinets in Rubio. So I'll use something more suitable for a kitchen, probably some sort of lacquer or something, something that's just a little bit more bulletproof. But if I'm building a piece of furniture, a shelf, credenza or whatever, it's the dining room table I'm working on right now, 100% will have Rubio on it.
Yeah. Where can everyone find you besides your YouTube channel? Where else can they find Bent's Woodworking and More?
I'm on my website, bentswoodworking.com. I did an overhaul on the website about a year ago, just to kind of make it look a little bit more presentable. I kind of haven't focused on it too much. I really need to start focusing on it a little bit more going into next year. But I mean, you can get to all of my stuff through my website, whether it's our podcast, whether it's articles, YouTube videos, Instagram, plans, or shirts, merchandise, that kind of stuff. It's all there.
Jason, thank you. And do me a favor. Thank your wife for sacrificing you to be on our show tonight.
I will. Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And
absolutely. I was glad to be here.
Thank you. And speaking of wives, I hear my wife calling. I got to go.
There ain't another girl like her in the city. No, she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. I feel this way, but I'm the ride she's driving insane. And don't you know you oughta pump the brakes? I can't tell you why don't you let it go. I'm the line and finally I'ma let you know you're somewhere in between my legs. Hey, you know there ain't another girl like her in the city. Yeah, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. I can't believe I wrote so long.
that there was a gap in the market.
I do think it's important that, as much as I'm not really a fan of saying having the avatar behind the camera, I do think it helps to imagine that you're actually talking to somebody who will be watching the video. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you see numbers of people watching, but you forget that these are actual people watching your video on their phone or on their TV or wherever. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.